Hello folks, welcome back to the channel. Thank you very much for joining me once again. You are always most welcome. So finally today, one of those kits we've all been waiting for most of the year has finally arrived, and it's Tamiya's Lockheed Martin F-35B Lightning II, the short takeoff stroke vertical takeoff and vertical landing aircraft. The one that of course is being used by both the Royal Air Force, which is the 617 Squadron based at RAF Marham, and of course it's been used by various other people, including of course our friends in the 207 Squadron. I couldn't remember 207 Squadron, who of course were operating off the Queen Elizabeth and the Prince of Wales aircraft carriers, Royal Navy aircraft carriers. So you may recall 12 months ago we had the first version. Now some of you, maybe I might be slightly towards this way of thinking myself, some of you maybe not the biggest fan of the aircraft or stealth planes in general, because they are so stealthy that they're not perhaps the most characterful aircraft. But if anything, this new one is going to be more so. Now last year's Tamiya first iteration of this aircraft was such a good kit in terms of its engineering, which kind of come to expect from Tamiya these days, but we haven't seen so much from them recently, and I'll talk about that separately in my Let's Talk About Tamiya show, which is coming out very soon, before Christmas in fact. They brought this out. It was so well engineered as a kit that it just knocked the socks off everything, and it came out again in sort of mid-late December and last year, and it was I ended up getting it for Christmas, and I hadn't actually laid eyes on it, and as soon as I saw it I realised it was probably the best kit of the year, and I voted it as such. And sadly the ones I'd actually voted, I actually mentioned this and I couldn't remember in my previous video, and I talked about it. I couldn't remember what the previous positions were before this knocked them off their perches, and the winner was going to be the Zukimura BF-109 G14, the Eric Hartmann one, which was fantastic. And the second was the Anson, and third was the Gecko ambulance, the KT ambulance. And they all got knocked down. So the poor KT ambulance got knocked off the podium. Anyway, it doesn't matter. You know, at the end of the day, it's very subjective and it's people's opinions, and this is my opinion. But I'm sure a lot of you probably thought that, from the feedback, I was there or thereabouts for most people's opinion, I think. It was an absolutely stunning kit, and it deserved to win just because of the sheer superb engineering, what was in the box, the value you got, even though it's not cheap, was absolutely fantastic. So anyway, let's move on. We don't need to do a side-by-side comparison really, because obviously the things that are different about this are kind of obvious. It's the lift fan, and it's the vectoring rotating nozzle at the back, and obviously you've got your roll control system that is all done by the lift system, powered lift system. And the lift system, it actually is called the lift system. Did you know that this was actually made by Rolls-Royce, of all people? And did you know, and I didn't realise this, it develops 29,000 horsepower. And it was saying in the Rolls-Royce's own blurb, it says it's the equivalent of 30 Bugatti Veyron supercars in one fan. And that's what powers it, gives it the lift to power it to the vertical landing and the short takeoff that it does. In theory, it can take off vertically, but it wouldn't operationally because of the weight of all the weapons and the fuel that would be on board. So generally it does a short takeoff as per the wonderful box art that we've got here. So let me zoom you in without further ado, and we'll get cracking having a look at this. It's just arrived in the post, well, from the courier I should say, and it's their kit number 48125, or number 125 as they prefer to call them now. Very, very nice artwork, as I say, and on the side we get very, very nice images of the three options you've got in terms of its how it operates. You've got it parked there with the canopy open. You've got it in the short takeoff position. That's the RAF one from 207 Squadron. Or over here we've got the in-flight option of the Italian Navy in this case. And of course it comes on a stand. So already I like it. Yeah. A stand. And I should also point out that I'm pretty sure that within the box you get both options of having it open or closed in terms of the cockpit. That they provide two identical canopies, but they have two different frames, one with it in the open position, one with it in the closed position, which is brilliant. So you can actually interchange it. You don't glue it, okay? Just don't glue that. You won't need to. It'll be fine. You can change your mind. Careful. All right. On this side, we have got a bit more details showing the weapons, and this time it's in the U.S. Marines colours, and it's the VMFA, I should say, 242, the Bats, and it's the Commander's jet. And it also shows here we've got AIM 9X Sidewinder, the AIM 120C AMRAAM, anti-radar missile, Paveway 2 laser guided bomb, and a bunker buster JDAM. So it looks very, very nice indeed. Well, that's it really. Without further ado, I think we've waited long enough for this, so let's not dither around too much. We'll get cracking and have a proper look at it. As I say, it's literally just arrived. The only thing I have done is remove the staples. I actually started shooting this video just about 10 minutes ago, and then I realised that it was going to take ages to remove the staples, so I took the 10 minutes out of this video by doing that for you already, because I thought that was just going to be too dull. So, there are no staples. I'm going to pull the plastic out, and there's quite a lot of it, and you can see straight away it's going to be just knockout really. I'll say there was an example, beautifully made example of it actually, which was demonstrated at the Telford Scale Model World, and I know the person that did it and did a beautiful job of it. But I thought it was a bit ironic because he had it everything was closed up and it was in flight. It was almost as though perhaps it'd have been better showing the A in that scenario, and the B. Obviously, you want to see all these lumps and bumps and fans open and all the rest of it. So I'm not sure that sold it at its best in some respects, but yeah, anyway, there we go. So, where to begin? I think we go with the instructions, as I always do. There's so much of it, I don't know where to start really. I'm just going to have a reorg over here, so that we can possibly just move things to one side. We'll start with that and that. Pop those to the side a little bit. If you bear with me, just a second. This is quite a lot of plastic all over the place. Right, there we go. Now then, get my trusty controller. I think we'll start by looking at the decals, as I often do. So, as I say, I've removed the staples, and here we go. So, we've got a mask set. Get it out. Come on, someone to come. So, start looking at the mask set now. They're not pre-cut, unfortunately. I've done. I've already. We're going to have this. Let's talk about Tamiya show. I've already shot it. The one thing I didn't complain about, which I thought may have been a bit churlish and it's a bit OTT, but I just wish they'd cut these out rather than just give you masks that you still have to cut. Just makes it a lot quicker and easier. And the other thing was the staples, because I'm not a fan of those staples. They just make. I always get nervous when I see clear parts and staples in close proximity to each other. Anyway, here's the masks. So you need to cut them out, but they're all there and they're on excellent Tamiya tape. So as long as you're patient, you cut them out, you won't have any problem with that. So I'll pop that back in there. And over here we've got some decals, and this is for I think the Marines option and the Italian Air Force option. Oh, I've actually got a UK Union Jack as well, which the UK Union Jack is usually on the inside of the lift fan door, by the way, which is very patriotic, I think. And here we've got some of the sort of the ram tape. There's a lot more of that to come, I think. But this aircraft, the B, does not have. I should just point this out. Here we've got the first difference between the two models, because the two aircraft are different. So the first A had this very obvious ram tape, and it was a bit, people complained that it was a bit sort of extreme. But that's kind of the way it does appear. Now they've gone for, with these later variants, with the B, the ram tape is very, very subtle, and it's not in your face in the same way at all. It doesn't have the same contrast. It's kind of visually harder to spot from a distance, I'd say. So that's why you're going to see a lot less ram tape in these decals, I think. Now you can see we've got included. We've got pilots. If you don't want the pilot to be in his seat, you have got some decal seat belts. And yeah, we've got a rising sun here as well. I think that's for the Marines stationed in the Far East in Japan. It's probably Okinawa, isn't it, actually? And then there's quite a few of the stencils. Now these are Tamiya's own decals, and we do talk about them in my show. We'll get into that by predating it by talking about it now, but sometimes they can be a little bit on the thick side. My recent experiences of them they've been actually a bit thinner. Then here we've got some instrumentation decals. Yep, very nice, very nice. Just hope they're not too thick. Over on the other sheet, bear with me a second. In fact, there may be two, I think. There are two sheets. This is the low-vis decals. These up, actually. Yeah, we've got low-vis decals, and this is where we get some of the ram tape effect. So we'll start with this one. And yeah, there's some pretty fine decals here, so we're going to have to be very careful with them. Quite a lot there of the low-vis, you know, the radar, anti-radar material that they use on this ram tape. And then over here we've got all the low-vis markings, including the Italian Navy, got the Royal Air Force. There's the 617, the lightning bolt is the 617 Squadron, the Dam Busters, that's their logo, for those of you that don't know. These days they don't show the dam like they used to do, but they have the lightning bolt. And then we have got quite a lot of, I think quite a lot of these parts are actually around the canopy area. But there's quite a few sort of danger warning signs that are kind of stencil-like here. Danger air intakes. You've got that second air intake on the top. But they're nice, aren't they? They're very nice. Yeah. USS Essex is one of the carriers that takes these aircraft. And the Essex is a little bit like, for us Brits, etc., not so familiar with the latest American ships. It's a little bit like the HMS Invincible, not so much the shape, but the idea, the concept. It's like Essex is one of these carrier type cruisers that can do many different jobs, different roles, you know, helicopter carrier, etc. I like this, that Tamiya have now come up with this rather nice sort of folding sheet. I think the idea is what you do, you put it face in, so it protects the sensitive face of your decals like that, and then they are going to get maximum protection. In fact, I think it's that way, isn't it? There we go. Logic, dear boy, logic. Right, look at that. There we are. We have it. We have it. Lovely. Well, they were very nice. Yeah, excellent. So that's a good start. Let's see how we go on from here on in. As I say, Tamiya's decals don't always get the greatest fan base following. Ooh, that's tricky. Doesn't want to go in. It's quite a tight bag, is that? I tell you. Didn't leave any spare on the table at all. Anyway, it went. There we go. Yeah, they don't have the greatest fan base, perhaps, but it's not. Their detractors are not as vocal as they are on the Edward ones. Anyway, let's have a look at the pack that comes with it, with all the instructions and data. We'll try and shoot through this. Got a little box here with some metal rods. That's interesting. I think that might be for the tail control. Also a screwdriver there. Set tips, we don't need to worry about those. Let's have a look now at the colour call-outs. It's a proper thick, oh, that's a really thick book. Oh my word, isn't that nice? Oh, it's one of those you wouldn't throw away at the end. Really nice, quite thick paper as well, good quality. Lovely. So, where to begin, really? It's hard to know, really. Well, this folds out, it's a biggie. Good job I haven't zoomed you in for this. I'm going to need it. Oh my lord, look at that. Look at that. Goodness me. So it's basically the colour call-outs here. Starts with the Marines, the VMFA-242, the Bats, Jet Commander, showing you all your various call-outs, stencil positions. Then we've got the Royal Air Force, and this is operations aboard HMS Queen Elizabeth. So as I say, it's Royal Air Force rather than Royal Navy, but they're based at on the aircraft carrier. I'm not quite sure if they actually spend time at Marham as well. I think they do. And yeah, you've got the logo again. The very similar markings. It's just obviously the national differences in the tail motifs are different. You know. I'll zoom in a little bit for this. You can have a closer look. But the Tamiya do this brilliantly now. They're probably the leader in the market in terms of call-outs. It leaves you with no doubt about what you should be painting, where your decal should go, or where your stencil should go. And then we turn it over. We've got a whole nother set on the other side. This time it is the Italian Navy, the 4th Carrier Air Group. Here they are. And actually it looks a little bit like, not unlike the RAF markings. And then we've got the Italian Air Force, which are based at one of their air bases on land, and that's this one here. Now that's beautifully done, isn't it? I've got to be honest. This is one of the reasons that people like Tamiya when they do things like this. It's on quality paper, everything's super clear, all the information you need is there. Very nice. And then we have a second one. Now this is slightly different in that this is the stencil guide, so this gives you the general overall, all the fine detail stencils are here, but look at that. Isn't it superb? Wow, there's a lot of stencils, oh my god. How many have we got here? 104, 110, 110, any increase on 110? Looks like looks like 110. Quite a lot of stencils to be getting on with, I'd say. Okay, and then over on the other side, it's showing you. How is that differing then? It's a different marking. It's on the final colour callouts. The Wake Island Avengers, the VMFA 211s. Okay, so you've got all these options. So how many options? That's one, two American options, 2 Italian, and 1 British. Sorry, 2 British because you've got 617 Squadron as well. That's awesome. That's awesome. Did it show 617 Squadron and 207? I'm just trying to remember, actually. Perhaps I wasn't paying attention. No, it says 207, but it's got the logo of 617. I'm obviously missing something in my knowledge, I think, here. It's definitely the 617 Squadron Lightning Bolt, but it only quotes 207. Unless it is that, and some of you may know this, unless it's just that there's a detachment of 617 that are called 207. Not quite clear about that. I need to do more research perhaps. Anyway, we can't do more. Then we've got our technical sheet, which I always like the way that Tamiya do this. They're giving you all the information you need, that you don't need to go and spend 2 months reading books just trying to get the basic info about the history of the aircraft. Now of course they do it in Japanese first. We turn it over, it's all in English. And here we go, so it gives you the history. I won't read it. History of the aircraft, explains the technical elements of it here and how it differs, obviously, the B, explaining the fan lift system. And there it is, you can see it has this huge door that opens above the fan, a door above it, a door below it, and then there's a second air intake for the engine which opens up on top to give the additional volume of air that's needed. And then here it shows the roll control system for vertical landing. So it's showing the lift fan at the front there, and then you've got these roll control pipes that posts that pop out of the wing, and obviously but in Harrier fashion they blow hot air more to one side than the other to give control over its roll. And obviously pitch is controlled with the main thrust of the engine and the tail surfaces, ailerons, elevators. And then it shows it in beast mode here. Ooh, wow, awesome. And then over here in short takeoff mode, which is more common, I'm sure. So obviously beast mode is when you've got, beast mode is non-stealthy with all your weapons and extra pylons and weapons under the wing, basically non-stealth. Okay, so there we have it. That's very nice. The only criticism I would make of these, and it's again I'm being nitpicky here really, I do kind of wish they'd do that in colour like they do with the colour call-outs on that quality paper. It'd be nicer, but they always do it that way, so it is consistent, you know. Anyway, there we are. So that's all the sort of call-outy bits. Now let's have a look at the instructions. And so I'll probably go through this fairly rapidly because there's so much of it. I'll go through it fairly rapidly because some of the aircraft we've seen before, basically. We'll try and focus on the bits that we really haven't seen before. So here you go. You've got this, again it's in black and white, but you've got this beautiful artwork which is on the box, showing it taking off. Then we have got the 3 different modes that you can actually pose the aircraft in. Whoops. 3 different modes you can pose the aircraft in. You've got parked mode there, with your landing gear compressed. And then this is nice that they've done it this way, isn't it? They've got the weapons bay door fully open. Then you've got your short takeoff mode, as per on the cover of the box art. Lift fan door is open, and the auxiliary intake door also open. Taileron is in the down position. Engine nozzle's also in the down position. And you've still got your nose gear compressed, and then in vertical landing, when it's actually not yet touched down, obviously your nose landing gear is now extended, not compressed yet, and everything else is open as per above, apart from that the engine nozzle is now completely down as it comes into the hover. You've got roll post doors also open here. So there you go. So that's really, there's quite a lot to it now. Suddenly, from a modelling perspective, I think it's a much more interesting subject in a way, or it gives more opportunities, which is what I was saying about the one that was at Telford, which is beautifully made. No criticism. But I just wondered why they didn't do the A like that and perhaps show one all with everything open and as per you just saw there. Anyway, we're going to flash through this relatively quickly, but let's have a good look at these instructions, which are always a joy, aren't they? You know what you're going to get here. You're going to get clarity and detail. You're not going to be guessing. No guessing games needed here. So, starts off basically with you doing some pre-painting, 1 or 2 little nobules that you need to remove with your craft knife, a couple of holes to drill, and then you can see straight away the difference. You've got the lift fan there here, which obviously isn't on the A version, and you're doing a bit of preparation painting obviously over here. Then on this side we're starting with the cockpit tub, building it all up, lovely clarity with all of your colour call-outs. Yeah, this is nothing like a border kit. Everybody that's criticising me, I'm sorry, but you're wrong. This is the way it should be. You shouldn't need to. There's no way you could build this if they didn't give you the colour call-outs. It's just too complex. You'd spend years trying to get every part colouring correct, you know. That's the job of the manufacturer, and that's what they've done correctly here. So you're building up your cockpit tub there. You've got armour plating going in at the side here. Then you've got your lift fan going in, and your cockpit, the basic cockpit going in before you get to the seat. Then you're going to build up your gear bay for the nose landing gear, and this is when you start having to make decisions. Do you want it parked or short takeoff? Because that dictates obviously which nose leg, whether it's going to be compressed or not, and which one you're going to use. And then in the vertical landing position, obviously, so you can see there's different parts, you know, for the different scenarios in terms of compression of the front suspension on the oleo leg, and no compression at all when it's in that vertical landing position. You see it's fully extended. That's going to go in there. Then you're going to build up your lift fan, the underside of it, which has got this rather strange shape, which I thought was very curious. It's almost like it's deliberately, I'm sure there's a reason for this, it's like it's deliberately designed to be asymmetrical, perhaps to create a little bit of turbulence, to perhaps increase the pressure or something. I don't know. There's obviously a reason for it. So you got like these stators, the stator is, the guide vanes are just in a most peculiar design. Looks odd to the eye. Anyway, then you've got this nose section, which you'll see is beautifully moulded, and you've got this whole left fan assembly then going to be going in here. And then you've got your air intakes, and it's worth just a quick mention about these, the lift fan and the air intakes. The lift fan, I don't know if I mentioned, was it develops 29,000 brake horsepower. The fan, just the front fan, that's incredible. But these very peculiar shaped intakes on the F-35 are for stealth, because you can't have direct line of sight with such a big engine with the fan blades. They give off a huge radar signature, so they shroud them and hide them back, tuck them back via this rather convoluted shape, almost like a snake-shaped zigzagging intake, so there's no direct line of sight to the engine fan blades. That's what it's all about. Anyway, we're hoping that there won't be any ejector pin marks on those. I don't think there was any last time I looked on the first version, but we shall see. We shall see. Then we have got here that very assembly I've just spoken about being dropped in, and I do mean dropped in because I think you find the fit on this is just going to be absolutely sublime, like nothing else you've probably experienced. Same again when the whole assembly goes, lower nose and upper nose are brought together there. You're going to find that's just beautiful. And then you've got to decide whether you want to open up your wings with a little bit of drilling for whether you want to have stealth mode, in which case you won't, or air-to-air mode, where you need some. The outer pylons are going to have their air-to-air missiles on, or beast mode, where you're going to open up every possible pylon connection point. You can see here they're asking you to drill the holes according to what your desire is. So again, you've got to make decisions about that. I don't know. Again, I must confess, going back to what I said about the one that was at Telford, which I say was a beautifully built model and finished. I know he built it; he did a lovely job. But it was all smooth and it was built like the A. On this version, I think you kind of want everything out, don't you? You want it to be dirty and stealth, beast mode, and all your stuff open. Well, it's your choice. You don't have to. Of course you don't. But it's kind of a waste if you don't. You know. But there's so many options, you know. That's one of the things that is nice about the aircraft and the kit, really, is that you've got all these different versions. So many choices to make. Decisions. It's tricky. Anyway, quite a lot of fine painting, little bits of detail around the lips of the edges of where these stealthy doors are going to be opening and closing. Over here, kind of more of the same really. We've got, you know, there's all sorts of probes and camera systems and optical sensors that are going to be put on here. The radar cross-section enhancer, which is a little bump which is like a radar nodule underneath. Then you've got your weapons bay parts. Fantastic weapons bay. We've seen that last year. Just one of the standout features of the kit, frankly. It's just some of the nicest injection moulding you'll ever see. Then we're going to actually do our the nozzle for our the base nozzle for the engine over here. Whoops, I've just knocked something flying. Don't think it matters, it's nothing important. And then, yes, you're gonna build up this engine. This weapons bay with all the bulkheads and all the incredible connection points, the electrical wiring sections. You've got your electrical buses. And it's just the wiring looms basically. It's all there. Plus, there's a lot of cooling, hydraulics. Just incredible. Lots of fine paintings needed in this kit. A lot of fine painting. If you're gonna have this open, you're going to be doing quite a lot of painting. Okay, look at the unions here for the actual coolant pipes, etc., and hydraulic pipes. If you look there, you've got a lot of different unions where there's connectors, connection points. And then all these have got to be then brought in and inserted into the bay. I need to zoom out a touch. And then if we go over here, sorry, I'm just checking what I actually knocked off on the floor there. Oh yes, it's nothing. It's fine. Sorry. Then you've got the option where you have the option of having it the flight display stand, and there's a nut system, and this is another one of Tamiya's brilliant designs where they have you actually screw it into the stand, and this is where the base will the base of the aircraft will be having this nut, which will ultimately be screwed into the stand and fixed. And it's removable, so it's not a permanent situation. You don't have to have it like that. You know, it's not forever. You've got the option. Then you've got the weapons bays then inserted into the top fuselage, along with your engine sort of bell assembly. And then we've got the main spar, the wing spar, and we've got again a lot of painting details that are going to have to go in here. And the spar, just I promise you, the fit of this is just click fit like Bandai. It's just going to drop in there without any problems at all. Then you're going to bring the top and bottom of those fuselages together, and then here we're going to ultimately have your weapons bay doors being brought in, and then you get where the book now sort of divides, so you now have the instructions for the parked option. And look at the beautiful artwork they've done here, and the way it's been presented is fantastic. So if you're having it parked and your engine is pointing straight out the back, you're going to build up all your jet nozzle petals. Obviously it's got these very stealthy type petals to reduce the radar emission. Even the exit look of the that's incredible, isn't it? Even the exit of the jet, the actual jet, internals of the jet, I've got this sort of stealthy pattern as well, so that it breaks up the line of any radar emission. And then over here, whoops, over here we've got the nozzle being actually attached. It has these like alignment clamps that go in there, and then it just sockets in, look, and I'm sure it'll just drop in effortlessly. I mean, even if you don't like this aircraft, buying one of these will be eye-opening, you know, eye-watering almost. The way the engineering of these parts goes together has got to be seen to be believed. Then you've got your nozzle door cover going on, and then you've got your ultimate outer doors cowls, as it were, for the jet pipe going on there. Then we've got our main landing gear, and this is obviously in the park position. It's compressed, and then you've got those landing gears being fitted in here into the gear bay well. Then we're going to attach our wheels. Be interested to see if they're weight on wheels or not. It looks like they're not actually, which is interesting. Those going in there. Just bring you back slightly. Those going in there. Then we've got our doors going on. Then we've got the nose landing gear. You're going to work on that. Cut as shown to deploy the nose landing gear. It's interesting. Cut as shown. Oh, why is that then? Does it actually rotate in does that actually rotate? No, you have to cement it. I'm just trying to weigh that up. It's not. I need to probably read more of the intro. Yeah, so when you want it fixed, isn't it? It's going to be cemented. Then you've got the nose gear, the gear bay covers. Quite intricate. Again, very stealthy looking. Those are going to go in then here. Then you're going to build your actual nose wheel, which is a single one on the F-35, quite a biggish one. And the actuator rod, which extends the gear itself, the gear leg, and of course you've got the ultimate bay door there. And then there's this electronic optical sensor that we spoke about before, part of the nav and targeting system, which is all built in under the nose. This strange window arrangement here. It almost looks like what they have on the carrier deck, isn't it? Where they have the the shooters on the carrier deck have this viewing window that looks a bit like that, only it's obviously a lot bigger. That's going in there, all the sensors go in, and then you've got your main doors here coming in for the weapons bay. So the actual sidewall for the weapons bay, I should say. So they've got parts there, central bay doors here. Gosh, so much to it. There's a lot to the kit. I don't think it's a quick build. If you're going to have this all open and out, it's going to take a while, months. Central weapons bay doors here, and it even shows again beautiful clarity like Zukimura, shows how they should be aligned. And then you've got your AMRAAM launchers, which are these things that basically present the weapon down into the airflow, and then it launches once it's popped out. Very impressive. I mean, if you see the videos of them opening their door and then launching the weapons, it's mind-boggling, really. And you've got your JDAMs here being built up, and your AMRAAM anti-radar missiles. And then here it shows them going into the bay, onto their carriers, sway braces going in, and again there's different sway braces depending on which variant you're going to use in terms of whether it's beast mode, etc. I'm not quite sure why that is actually. Doesn't really make that clear. But anyway, then you've got the outer weapons door itself going on there with completely all the hinges. One side for the right, one side for the left. And then over here, finally the attachment of those outer bay doors. Then we've got over on the wing, we've got flapperons and leading edge flaps for the wings. Then we've got our tailerons, and there's a lot of stuff going on this aircraft, isn't there, in terms of controls. Then those tails are going in, along with your flaps and elevators, and leading edge flaps. All the control surfaces going in together, and then we've got our missile launchers. These are the external ones, the ones that if you have it in beast mode that you'll be having out on the wing, of course, pylons. And then you've got your Sidewinder 9X, shows how that should look. It shows all the even gives you a guide there for the weapons stencil set. Here it's going onto its rail, and then the same again. We're going to go through the same process here with the pylons and the paveways, laser guided bombs, paveway 2, so. And again showing those being put into situ there, and then ultimately in beast mode going in on the wing here. Attaching the vertical stabilisers, and again the fit of these, just you're not going to believe it, they just drop in. They'll drop in without glue, and you could actually not have them glued and it still stay together as long as you don't subject it to any force on movement. And then we start building the ejector seat for the pilot, and quite late in the build, isn't it? So that's going in there. You've got your headrest and your basic seat squad going together. You've got the ejector rail at the back for the Martin Baker ejector seat itself, and then you've got lots of detail here. I'm just going to zoom in on this for the pilot. Yes, we've got what looks like quite a nice pilot and lots of different markings on the different versions. So don't forget there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6 different versions. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I did say 6, didn't I? 6, 5, 6, 7. 7 versions to G. Incredible. And then you ultimately paint up your pilot like so. Again, you're not left guessing. Tamiya will tell you everything you need to know. There you go. Pilot goes in. No pilot or with a pilot. The choice is yours, really. And then over here, oops, in the back a bit. Over here we've got our instrumentation going in for the cockpit. And then we've got the crew access ladder, which is this telescopic internal ladder, which is behind a stealth door. And then it shows you how to mask up your canopy. And as I mentioned, there are 2. So this is the option where you have it in the open position, and there's a different frame piece for the open position, so it goes vertical obviously. And that is it. Your model is built. However, we jump back now to short takeoff version with more stuff, lots more stuff. So I'm going to, if there's any repetition here, I'll glance straight over it. But obviously we want to see these other interesting parts. So actually, no, that's quite impressive. They've gone straight into the differences. So the engine, the engine nozzle in a vectored position or semi-vectored, with it sort of semi-pointing down. You're going to build all that up again, much more on display in this position, of course. It's more internals are visible. You're going to build up your nozzles, and again the fit of these nozzles, I've seen it done, it's just wow, they just drop together without any gaps or anything. Beautiful. You've got like the outer ring going on there, control units going on, and then we've got our nozzle doors, which are going to be open, of course. So we've got this is the main rear nozzle doors. So it opens to give room for the thing to swivel around. That's the idea. It just gives it more clearance. Underneath, on the underside, of course, we're talking here. So that's the underside of the fuselage we're looking at, where the nozzle's going to point down, and then the cover panel is on the top, back on the top here. So yeah, I'm not sure they make that as clear as they might do. It should say underside, top side. It doesn't actually say that, does it? But I guess they're expecting you to know that. That's right, I'm not sure. So there we go through the sort of same build here. I'll go through this much more quickly. So you just build in slightly different versions where there's more, a bit less compression on the legs. And again, same on the... so that's why I thought there should be weight on wheels, really, because on the first one it should be weight on wheels. Perhaps less so here, because they're less compressed as it's lifting off. And then you've got your doors, and you've got your landing gear. So you're going through the same procedure here with the landing gear, the nose. All the doors have got to go in again, so we'll just drift across this. Again, repeats the same procedure with the sensors, the doors, and this time the weapons bay doors here going in, showing them closed in this particular case. Then you got your flap arms, you've got your control surfaces, which we've seen already. No massive changes there apart from the position, because obviously they're now pointing down. And then we've got repetition here with the weapons, which we don't really need to do again, I don't think. Again, showing it in the beast mode, vertical stabilizers, tails, and again showing the pilots, which again we don't need to go through because we've seen it. All the instrumentation is there. Putting on, this time obviously we've got the difference being the auxiliary air intake for the lift engine, for the main engine I should say, here is open, so that's different. And of course now you're going to build up this lift fan door with that very much open, which is completely different from the first version. And you can see here we've got national emblems like the USA, and we've got the British Union flag in there as well. And then you've got the lift door here completely open. And again, you've now got the cockpit closed, so you're using the alternative frame for the canopy. There's two different versions and there's two different canopies. But it's not, you don't have to have either or on that, you can actually build both in the kit, so that's great. And then finally we've got the vertical landing option, where basically everything, it hasn't landed yet, and now we've got the engine pointed down at a much more, basically 90-degree angle, you know, for extreme angle. So you're going to be building it on that basis with it pointing right down, as you can see, pointing at a very extreme angle indeed. And then we've got obviously all the doors, everything's open that can be open basically. And then here you've got the doors underneath at their fully open position. The nozzle is pointing right down at the ground at 90 degrees, and then you've got the cover going in here on the top. And we won't go through this, but basically you've got zero compression now on the legs, zero compression on the tyres, including the nose leg, which you'll be doing, again, that will be fully extended. You can see it there, there's no compression on it this time, it's at its full length, and then quite a lot of the other parts are the same, except you've got more detail here because you're going to put the grate in, which is where the intake is. Sorry, the exit I should say, for the lift fan underneath. all the same sensors going in, but obviously you've got to be mindful of the positioning of these when you've got all these doors are open. It's going to be a little bit more tricky, obviously. A little bit more patience might be required, and perhaps a little bit more care. And then you've got the lift fan doors here, which we haven't really seen before. The lower lift fan doors wide open. And then we've got the we're going to have it open. Is that what they're saying? No, it's just, no, I think it's going through the same procedure really. I like the way they've got clearly marked right and left, so you can't make a mistake. This is beautiful design, yeah, very careful, clever design there. So no messing up when the AMRAAM launchers, you know exactly which launcher goes in which side. And again, those are going to go in there. There's a nice diagram showing you how it should look, just above my thumb. And then you've got those different weapons going into their launchers, the AMRAAM launchers, into the bay. Then of course closing it all up if you're going to have it shut. And then again we're repeating in a much more extreme position of the control surfaces, because we're hovering ready to land, so the taileron is right down in the down position. And it even says down, look at that, it's got it written on it down, so again you can't foul it up. Why can't other manufacturers be this good? Why can't they? Yeah, they don't want you to screw it up, look, down, down. But I'm just going to flick back, because I may have just glossed over this a little too much actually. I was talking about tail control surfaces. 1 second. Yeah, down, down, down. See if there's any great difference in the way that they presented it actually. Yes, it is. Look, I missed this earlier. So this is when it's in the park mode, it says up, up, down. It's helping you not only with which way around to put it, but also so you don't mix them up and put it in the wrong way in itself. So, you know, which is up, which is down, so you don't mix up your control surfaces and put them the wrong way around, basically. Wow, I mean, and then you got your flaps in the extreme position as well, and the slats on the leading edge of the wings, again in the extreme position. Then we've got our weapons coming in, putting those in, tail vertical stabilisers going in, same again, ejection seat. Pilot being painted up with his helmet options. Whether you want the pilot or not is your option. Instruments going in, and then of course, because we're in the extreme position, we've got the lift fan door open again, and again we've got these markings, and you've got the option of the different national colours from the decals. Putting your canopy in its closed position here, and then last but not least, wow. Last but not least, we've got here, there's a cover that goes over, this is clever, a cover that goes over the display stand, and what you do is you just push it, it clicks into place, and you simply push it, and it pops out, and you can then attach your display stand and screw it in to locate it, as it has the screw here. Isn't that brilliant? Isn't that great engineering? And this is what it looks like when it's on its stand at the end. Wow. Well, that was a bit of a marathon, to be honest. I feel completely exhausted, and too early in the day for a nice drink, I'm afraid. I'll just have to have I was just going to have a slurp of water if you don't mind, because that was quite a lot to get through. Much more than I was expecting, if I'm honest. Not quite, you know, Shiraz or something. That is amazing though, isn't it? I mean, it's just, and that's before we've got to the plastic, and it's mouth watering, you know. I shouldn't be that thirsty, should I? Because, you know, it makes you salivate when you see the level of engineering and the detail that they've gone into to create. It's probably going to be close to, you know, the perfect model. So I'm going to pop that back in there, see if it will go in. Often not easy with these, and to be honest, I think what I should do is do them separately. If you'll just bear with me though, because I need to get them out of the way without just sort of dumping it down. There we go, we're in. I think we got it, there we go. That's it. And then that goes in there, gently like that. Absolutely awesome. That's instructions as they should be done, isn't it? Just like Zokimura, isn't it, really? But perhaps a little bit calmer than Zokimura's instructions, but it just doesn't leave you guessing or wondering or having to make uncomfortable decisions about the direction choices you're going to go in. The options you have are laid out so clearly. Right, so I'm going to pop that in there, and then we're going to immediately get straight into it. So, clear parts first of all. Now, I think Tamiya's clear parts are going to be rather nice. I think it goes without saying, doesn't it? I think this is going to be like a holiday for me now. I'm just going to turn that over here to get a little bit more light on these parts. Here we go. Right then. So what you got here, this isn't actually the canopies, this is all those sensors and windows that we talked about. Electric optical sensors. This is the one that I described as being like the shooter on the aircraft carrier who gives the all clear for the aircraft to take off and land. It's just a little bit like that in shape, isn't it? Almost like an octagon shape. And it's all very stealthy, all these windows and sensors. But aren't they beautiful? My word. That is absolutely stunning. Just fantastic. That's that one. That's one done. Then we have got a canopy. There's actually two of these, as I mentioned. So I've only opened one because we don't need to open two. So actually that one's not open. I'll pop you over to this one. Zoom you back a bit. There we go. Now there's two of these because they give you the option of both, open and closed. So they're actually identical part. There's no difference between these two canopies. But obviously one fixes onto a frame that is in the vertical position when it's open. The other one is horizontal for being closed. Now, before everybody shouts and says it's got a seam line, the actual aircraft has one, so don't worry about that. There's no clean-up or work to be done here at all. Don't touch it. Okay? That central seam line, that very faint one, is actually supposed to be there. You see it in the photos. And it's on the artwork as well, noticed. So, what to say? That's perfect, and because it's got the tinted, it's got the UV tint to help protect the well, I think it actually has an anti-radar element to it, and of course it protects the pilot a little bit from UV light, bright sunlight. And of course if you look at the very front, you can clearly see here that we've got the stealthy sort of tooth style to break up the shape of it. As good a clear part, I think, as we've seen this year, without any doubt whatsoever. It's going to go in there. I'll zoom you out now. Just bear with me a second. My zoom being a little bit reluctant today, even though I have changed the batteries. Any excuse. Right, so that's clear parts. Absolute 10 out of 10 there. And by the way, I actually gave the A kit 10 out of 10, and I've got to be honest, I think we know it's going to be the same. I think it's almost inevitable. But let us have a butcher. So remember what I said about the ram tape. Here we go. We've got the top of the fuselage with the lift fan, which obviously the first kit didn't have. And as I said, the ram tape is not quite as pronounced on these later variants, and it's not as visually pronounced anyway. In terms of the finish, well, I know I'm wearing my gloves, but yeah, it's not too bad. It's not as extreme as I've seen on other kits, and I should definitely zoom out now and have a little bit of a chuckle, because we've talked previously about other manufacturers, shall we say, including Trumpeter, which perhaps I was a bit rude about them, but I was certainly very scathing about them. However, some of you actually wrote to me and said that some of their products, especially their ships and some of the vehicles, are not so bad actually. So, okay, I'll give them a little bit of leeway on that, because I haven't had that much experience on those particular items. But of course, of the aircraft, and I named several of them, products that were not great. And here's the proof that I'm not really wrong. They've just brought out one of these at 32nd scale, big model, and they've gone and lined all of the bodywork with rivets. What? Yeah, really? No, I did just say rivets. Now this is a stealth aircraft. It has the radar, the anti-radar ram tape on it, and the whole point of this is it's made of composite materials that are non-reflective to radar, to give it the lowest possible signature. and there are no rivets. And Trumpeter have gone and covered this new kit in rivets. So, have a look at this. Well, we can see there that there's absolutely no rivets here. That is for sure. They've really replicated it very, very well. And you know, the ram tape is exactly where it's supposed to be. There's no flaws or errors in it at all. Of course, they've studied this quite clearly. I think they've got. I mentioned that one of the markings. They're based in Japan. I think it's at Okinawa. So I'm sure that Tamiya have been able to have a good close look at one basically and study it. Maybe that's where Trumpeter went wrong. Maybe they, I think there's a rumour going around that they possibly were looking at some mock-up that was many years ago. A mock-up of an F-35, and it may have had rivets on it, you know, before it was in production. You know, and at the end of the day, we're not going to give, you know, it's a Chinese company, so we're not going to give them, or the Americans are not going to give them one of these to play with, that's for sure. But even so, I think, you know, even a youngster knows that they don't have rivets on it, so I don't know what they're playing at. But isn't that beautiful? You know, it's a work of art, really. Beautifully sculpted. There's no sink marks anywhere. Can't see any faults with it whatsoever. It looks absolutely stunning. So there we go. That is the main top fuselage done. Then let's have a look at the underside and the nose section, which they've gone and done with this slide moulded section, slightly strangely positioned. Not sure if that's deliberate or not, but let's have a look at this. So you can see how they've got these, it's been slide moulded and it's got this protective frame around it, so there's no danger of it becoming damaged or scuffed in transit. Don't they do this just beautifully? This actually reminds me of Great Wall Hobby, to be honest, because they were very good at this, and they've sort of gone away from it a little bit just recently. You know, they were moulding weapons in one piece, just like this, within a frame, as you see here, to protect them, and then they stopped doing it for reasons not entirely clear. So, not sure about that really. But look at for strength reasons, you've got quite a lot of parts of the frame within the actual moulded piece here that you have to remove. You have to snip all these off, obviously. But look at the way they've thought about it, and they've got this protection frame all around it with these like sprue bridges, and you can clearly see that it's been thought out properly, hasn't it? Zoom you out a bit. Sometimes I zoom in a bit too much. Look at that. You can see now with the light on it, the detail. That's absolutely fantastic, isn't it? On the side, you can see that's where the stealthy door goes for the telescopic crew ladder that pops out the side there. That's where your sensors are going to go underneath. Just fantastic, really. And over here you've got this. This is the section where the two slide together. And if you've ever seen that video which I showed on the A model, it showed them somebody just slotting it all together, and it was just without glue, and it was just instant, perfect join, no gap. Fantastic. Beautifully done. Beautifully done. Anyway, that's the two biggest pieces. Now we get into, we've got a stand, which I like stands, you know my views on this. And of course they use these metal screws and nuts to actually make it a bit more robust. So you end up with a proper strong setup. And this is very much the same stand that we saw in the 32nd scale kits, like the Spitfire and the Mustang, etc. So that's really nice that they included a stand. What do I keep saying? I keep saying we need stands, we need pilots. Tamiya are giving you all that. You know, people complained. I had a bit of a moan about Airfix not doing this, and people said, "Yeah, but Airfix are cheap." Yeah, well they are. And I'm not having a go at Airfix. It's true with Revell as well. Lots of others. But if you've got to buy a stand, you've got to buy a pilot. Suddenly, you know, the competitive price of an Airfix. You know, if you've got that, think about something like the Buccaneer, which the new version I haven't seen yet, so I don't know if it's got pilots in it. I think it may have, hoping. But if it hasn't, then you've got to go and buy some pilots. Then you've got to go and buy a stand if you want to do it in flight, or make your own. And you know, it's 76 quid. Sorry, £73 retail that was. So that's not cheap. This is only what, £20-25 more expensive, and you're getting all these things in the box. The masks are there, the stands are there, the pilots are there. You know I keep repeating myself, but for good reason, really. Then we've got a lot of our sort of aft parts, the rear parts of the engine. So let's have a look at this. Oh, the plastic here is just, frankly, it's just sublime. It's just incredible. Look at this. So where to begin? I'll tell you what, we'll begin with the canopy frame over on the far side. Here we go. So I mentioned that there were two canopy frames. So that's the one, this one here is on the right is for the closed canopy. And on the left we have the open canopy, complete with its mounting point so it can be vertical. And you can have, you basically build up both, and you can interchange them as you wish as long as you don't glue it. And you can have, you know, the fit will be so beautiful, you'll be able to do that and have both versions, so it never gets boring. Then we've got this, the back half of the stealthy, the stealthy part of the rear of the engine. Where again, they've got these, the jet pipe, start of the jet pipe, with these amazing looking blades, fan blades. Then we've got that's the cover on the top, at the on top of the engine nozzle, and we've got part of the gear bay, and then we've got this is part of the nozzle internals of the engine as it comes out to the nozzle. And then again we've got the bays over here. Sorry, I'll zoom back a bit for this. The bays over here, and then you've got the externals. You can see the ram tape and the stealthy finish. And I think it's the only part of the aircraft that has rivets on it. I think it's on the weapons bay door, isn't it? I think that does have rivets on it, but not like Trumpeter showed all over the aircraft, yeah? I rest my case, you know. I've just got to say this, haven't I? You know, everybody was saying, I'm sorry, won't get it, you're way wrong, Trumpeter brilliant, blah, blah, blah. Really? Yeah, I'm not saying don't buy these products. It's your choice at the end of the day, but they're not for me, I'm afraid. Not for me. When you see such fundamental errors as that, I mean, it just shows they don't understand the first thing about it. And it makes you wonder, no wonder the Chinese, is it the J-20? Stealth fighters, not supposed to be all that stealthy and maybe not too great. Or not as impressive as people initially thought. Well, that's probably the reason why, because they're... I shouldn't take the nicky because I don't have any knowledge about it, but we see the evidence of what the way they've gone about these things, and it's flawed, isn't it? Simple as that, really. There's no flaws here. How about this one? Here's a big sprue. This has got the weapons bay. Look at this. This is one of the highlights of the kit, without doubt. Look at this now, and check the detail out here. Absolutely exceptional. Zoom there. Just look at the detail. You add to this, you've got all the wiring looms and the conduits and the control boxes. You've got connection zones for the electrical bus system, and you also add into this a lot of the cooling and the hydraulic pipes go into this bay that you add. And then you've got your outer doors for the undercarriage and the weapons bay. And then you've got these. I think these are the weapons carriers, internal weapons carriers. And here's part of them here. The parts that actually go. You see it's got right and left on it. Left, right, clearly marked there, so you can't mess it up. Absolutely brilliant design. We got a little bit of some of that hydraulic lines I talked about. Part of the ejector seat there. Two parts of it, in fact. It's just amazing, really, isn't it? It's a pleasure You know, if this was a really big, horrible kit, I'd be absolutely. I've been after. I don't know how long we've been going. About 45 minutes an hour, I think, and I'd be bored stiff by now. But you just don't get bored because it's eye candy. My eyes are popping out of this. It's like, really? Have they managed to mould it like that? It's incredible. And the thought of the design of trying to help the modeller and assist him. Here's your cover for your where your stand goes. It's just beautiful, really. I mean, that is an outstanding bit of moulding on that bay, though, isn't it? That's just incredible. Just look at that. Mouth-watering. I mean, I've got to be honest, I think from a modeller's perspective, in many respects, that this version of the F-35 is probably the one to get, really, because it's just got more going on. And that criticism that many of us have had about the A, which is the aircraft that we've got based in the UK at RAF Lakenheath, seems a little bit. There's not so much going on. It's a more stealthy aircraft, of course. In some respects, it has advantages. You know, this is actually a less capable aircraft because it can't lift as much or carry as much, and because it's got a lot of weight. But from a modelling perspective, this is the one, surely, because it's kind of a no-brainer, isn't it, really? But look at this. Here we've got these vertical tails. We've got vertical tails, and they have like an insert for the outer and inner faces. So you can see here, the bigger one is the outer face, and then on the other side, it's an insert. This is an insert into this, and you can guarantee the fit of that's going to be just sublime. Then you've got some instrumentation. You've got the wheels here. This is the nose gear, I should say. Wheel. And the main gear legs. Yeah, absolutely gorgeous. And then over here we've got all the different versions of the flaps and the slats, which can be posed in different positions. So there are different versions. The angles are different. If you look carefully, you can see that's straight, that's more angled. And obviously that's whether you're having it in the standing parked position or whether it's going to be in the takeoff position, or indeed hovering with the flaps right down and everything out, you know, in its final approach position. That's a lovely sprue. They're all lovely sprues, to be honest. They really are. I mean, Tamiya I've not done quite as much this year, I think, in that respect, along with Airfix, you know. Perhaps we've been a little bit disappointed, but what they have done has been outstanding, you know. I mean, this is probably, in terms of the quality of the engineering, it's probably the best kit out there, really. But we'll see, because we haven't seen the new Zokimura Focke-Wulf 190, which we're all waiting for eagerly, and I hope that comes through before the end of the year. Right, here you've got these parts that I told you about, where it actually says on the other side, if you look carefully, if I can get this in the light, I'm not sure. It's got down, it's actually written on the part. Oops, here. Down. That leaves you in no doubt. There we go, down and down. So you know which way up it's supposed to be. So you can't make a mess of it. It's just foolproof, really. It's even Peter-proof. And then you've got the cover here. This is the cover for the top door, and then you've got your auxiliary door covers. This is that's the cover for the lower door when it's closed, I think. And then you've got things there on this side which says up. You can see that. Get that to focus. There we go. Up. So again, you're left in no doubt about that. And then you've got basically your sort of tailer-ons insert. Again, it's an insert. You can see how they go inside there. Outer and inner. Again, you're going to have perfect fit. Absolutely no problem at all. And zoom you back a bit. But there's a lot to this kit, isn't there? This is quite a complex build, actually. Complex, but I'm sure confidence and complex. because you're not going to have to fight the kit, I don't think. I don't think the fit's going to be an issue. There's so much of it, isn't there? It just keeps on coming, you know. Right, now then. Then we've got the main spar system. If I can just zoom you in. This is huge, isn't it? Look at that. That's the main spar. Perhaps it's better seen that way, I think. That way? That way? How's that? Yeah, look at that. So you've got some conduits and wiring and electrical leads and wires again. And then we get into some of the sort of nitty gritty of the aircraft. So we've got main gear wheels. And they're not weight on wheels. They're not weight on wheels. Okay, I'm surprised about that. That seems odd, because I thought they would be. However, having looked at them at Lakenheath, they're not a heavy aircraft, of course. It's full of composite materials, it's very lightweight. Although this one less so, of course, because it has got this very heavy lift motor. And you can see there, this is the extendable crew ladder I mentioned. And then you've got the inner and the outer door, stealthy door for it. Again, tons of detail there, absolutely incredible. And then here we've got the cockpit, the main cockpit tub. And we've got, again, parts of the ejection seat here. Various actuators. We've got doors, part of the undercarriage doors there. And again, here you've got hydraulic actuators for the main gear. That look like shock absorbers. And you've got main gear actuator arms. And you've got various brackets and support arms there. And then we get over to our pilot in his seat. So here we got our headrest and then the pilot himself. And we have got... Okay, this is interesting. So that's the top of his head, the top of his helmet, that little tiny bit where my thumb is. What is it, 53 is it? 53, yeah. And there's his head here, complete with his oxygen mask. And you attach that little top piece just in the top there, can you see? It's amazing. Wow! Well, that's quite remarkable. There's even a fire extinguisher over here, look. Well, that is impressive. There's a lot of detail there. A properly detailed pilot. Yeah, not like the one Airfix did in the Gannet, which looks like it's been melted over a candle, to be quite honest. Anyway, Tamiya have done a brilliant job. Beautiful. I mean, if you're a model manufacturer and you're up against Tamiya, it's kind of depressing in a way, isn't it? Because you wonder how you could ever get to this level. It would take a long time, I think. Even for a good company, you know. In Tokimura are getting there slowly, but whether they'll ever quite catch them up, I'm not sure. But you can try. You can try a bit harder, can't you? I mean, dropping in a resin pilot wouldn't go amiss with some of these manufacturers. I'm sure that they could do it as an extra. Even if it's a special edition version or something, you know. Here we've got the lift doors where they're separated and to be opened on the top of the fuselage. Some lovely details going on here. Absolutely amazing. Look at that. And then we've got this is the lift fan, and you've got actually in two different positions where it's almost inert or whether it's blowing backwards. So there's obviously that's whether it's at the full landing position, which would be that one. The blowing backwards is when it's on the takeoff run. So these are vanes that angle, which is part of the helps to direct the thrust from the lift fan backwards. Clever. And there's the surround for the lift fan here. And then you've got the lower, this is that lower intake. I said it was a rather strange shape. It's just the stator blades, isn't it? The guide blades. And then you've got the actual fan itself there. And you've got all the blades visible. I think actually that's the main engine blades, in fairness. And then here is the detail of the lift fan door internals. This is the one that sometimes has the Union Jack or the stars and stripes on it. And then over here you've got your various internals on the doors. Lift fan door internals. There's a lot of detailed parts on there. Wow. But look at the quality of the moulding here. This is next level. See any flash? No, me neither. Not even a hint of it. We're on a different level here, really, aren't we? Absolutely exceptional. It's just beautiful, isn't it? It's like poetry in plastic, really. You know. It's just the, and it's got that nice sort of solid feeling plastic, but not too hard, not brittle. It's on a sort of scale of 1 to 10 of hardness, it's about a 7 or an 8, isn't it? Just right, really. Oh, we're nearly done. Gosh, exhausted. I'm filming this at lunchtime. I need my lunch. It's long overdue. Anyway, have a look at these. Just check this out. These are the different options for the engine when it's in the semi. The takeoff position or the landing position. So that there is this is the sort of spar that holds the engine in place at the back, and there you've got your that's your fan. I think that's the lift fan main intake blades. Over here we've got the exit nozzle, the vectoring nozzle here, and obviously we have it in 2 different positions. So we've either got it where it's almost straight out there, or over here we've got it cranked over at almost 90 degrees, and then the final exit of the nozzle, you can see here what I'm talking about. There's the 90 degree position, and that's the sort of 45 degree takeoff position. So it's 90 degrees for landing and 45 degrees for takeoff, thereabouts, give or take a degree. But look at the detail on these parts again. Look at the engraving here. Isn't that amazing, actually? It's just superb details all the way across. It's the sort of kit, this, that even if you're the type of person that's not that excited by the F-35 or aircraft, you almost ought to get it. I mean, sorry, I should have pointed out there are no ejector pin marks here. No, I'm just jumping around there. Sorry, no ejector pins. I should have pointed this out. On the intakes, these very convoluted air intakes into the engine. It's all as smooth as silk. There's nothing there at all. And this is this very stealthy baffling system that stops any radar signature escaping or reflecting from the engine's blades. But I was saying, even if you're not an aircraft fan, if you don't like the F-35, trust me on this, you know, for what it costs, you might want to consider buying this, just to have something that's that good. Just to have something where that much effort has been put into it, and it's so accomplished as a model, you know. It's worth seeing. It's worth seeing. I'm going to recommend this kit to you. There's no question about it whatsoever. So here we've actually got, I think we've got 2 that are in fact the same. Yeah. So we've got 2 sprues that are identical. So this is the last one. Whew, I can go have my lunch. Check this out though. So here we've got the fine exit nozzle, exhaust nozzle petals, which are very stealthy, of course, and are reputed to just drop in, beautiful fit. There you've got the actual the nozzle, the shaping of the nozzle that leads up to it, and you can see that it's got some fine detail there. Then over here, just jumping around a bit, but you've got the JDAM, the bunker busting bombs, and then over here we've got the GBUs. This is your laser guided bombs, complete with its all its sway braces and fins, etc. And then we've got the main gear. Yeah, they're not weight on wheels. That's the only thing that's sort of I don't think I'll mark it down to that because I'm not sure how relevant it is, but just thought it would be. But you can even see things like the valve, you can make it out, the detail of the valve, tyre valves that are coming through on the rims there. And then last but not least, we've got our Sidewinder 9X missiles and our AMRAAM anti-radar missiles. And then these are the beast mode pylons, sort of conventional pylons, with their sway braces. And as I said, there's actually 2 of that sprue. So, I feel exhausted. There's so much kit in the box, really. So much plastic. And it is utterly flawless, yeah? If you're really picky and wanted to criticise it for anything, you'd say, oh, you're going to mark it down because it hasn't got weight on wheels. Well, I'm not going to. Sorry about that. But that's just, it's probably more that they didn't feel it was appropriate. Perhaps because it's not as evident when you look at the aircraft operating. So there we go. So I'm going to try and pick this up. If you just bear with me 1 second, because it's a bit huge, as you know. Just try and do our best to transfer it all across. It's probably not all going to go back in there, because it disturbed the way it was packaged, of course. And that needs to go in there and there and there. Make sure those are safe. This is where we have the fun, isn't it? And we have to go back in the box, as was. There, thereabouts. Decals on the top. So, Tamiya's new F-35B Lightning, the short takeoff, vertical takeoff and landing. What do I give it then? It's 10 out of 10. And I'm not just saying that because I'm a Tamiya fanboy. Come on. It's unbelievable, that kit. And I think if you want to build that, I think that you'll sort of probably fall in love with the F-35, even if you're not very keen on the aircraft. It's just beautiful. Now it's got so much more dimension to it from a modelling perspective. So much more that you can detail up and do a little bit of weathering. Not do too much weathering on these, but yeah. I know there's some people have been talking about the ram tape, haven't they? Saying that it changes its appearance, you know, with weathering at sea. And it goes a little bit sort of a browny, a little browny orangey, sort of pinky look to it. Mind you, I think most things do. It's got rust, but can't be on this. I think it's more just a discoloration, probably caused by silicon in the water, salt, you know. But you can do it, you know, there's so much to go at, there's so much detail, you know. You go at that with some dry brushing and imagine how it's going to pop. It's going to be absolutely mind-blowing, it really is. So, I'm sorry, but I'm not saying it's going to be kit of the year. We will definitely hold judgment on that, but that is the best kit. It's the best kit I've seen so far this year. It does slightly trump the main Phantom, which was beautiful. I was very impressed by that, proving that the Chinese can make some lovely kits. Some of them can. It does trump it though, because the engineering and the way they've formed all those parts, the lengths they've gone to with the instructions and the details. It's a peach. 10 out of 10, and I don't think I've given anything else that this year apart from Wingnut Wings and their Hisso SE5, which I obtained, by the way. I got one of those, but it wasn't cheap. Oh Lord. Anyway, I think that's quite enough from me. That's been a very long review, and it was always going to be, I suppose. I hope you'll give me 10 out of 10 and give me a like, a thumbs up. Hope you enjoyed the video. Trying to get it out as quickly as I could, and yeah, it's definitely worth seeing it in that level of detail. It's a fantastic kit, and I strongly recommend that one to you. Let's hope that those other ones I'm waiting for come through and we can do a comparison with them, because I think if they don't come through, then that's probably one kit of the year. That's it, we don't need a show. Okay, cancel the show. I'm hoping that these others come through, especially the Zokimura one. But that's outstanding. It really is an amazing kit. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you'll stick around. You'll see the Tamiya show. I won't be mentioning this because I've already shot it, as I say, but I kind of knew what we're going to get, I think, anyway, really. But I do feature the other version of it. But stay tuned for that. I think you'll enjoy it. There's also a Zokimura show as well, which is definitely worth seeing. I think you'll enjoy that one too. Until you rejoin me again, in the meantime, stay well, stay safe. Thank you very much for your time in watching this video, especially if you got to the end. Appreciate your company, appreciate your support on the channel. Don't forget to share, like, share and subscribe. Thanks a lot. Until I see you again. Thank you and bye for now.